Hi and welcome. My name is Don Showman. Now, when it comes to assessing violence, there's two types of assessments that we can use. The first one is a school vulnerability assessment, and the second one is a human threat assessment. Now, while both of these assessments and skills are critically important, hands down, the one that is the single most important to have and be able to do is a human threat assessment. Right now inside of our buildings, we have kids, we have students who are planning and preparing to attack us, to do great violence against us. As they travel down what's called the path of violence, they give off indicators of danger. They give off warning signs. They give off troubling behaviors. If we see these and then we can't read them or assess them to figure out how to intervene and manage that, we stand a far less likely chance to prevent that school attack. If you're a superintendent or a principal, SRO, security officer, counselor, psychiatrist, if you're working inside of a public school, you have to know how to do this. This skill is all about saving lives. Now, I can't cover everything inside this particular video, but what I can do is touch on one subject that I think schools need a huge improvement, a boost in. And what that's going to be is making that initial and first assessment. Way too often, schools are way slow on making that initial first assessment. What I'd like to do is offer a technique and some materials to help you to speed up that initial assessment. And this technique I call is SnapShot. So you know when someone takes a picture of something, what they've done is they've frozen it in time. A moment in time is frozen. So imagine I have taken a picture of that behavior, a snapshot, and I hand it over to you. And all you can do is look at it and from there decide what your next step of action is going to be. Now, while this is not a comprehensive threat assessment, it is also not a complete one, right? You're still going to keep going and doing more. All the snapshot helps us to do is go faster and to make that initial assessment in order that we can then move on to whatever our next step is going to be. Now, what I've included with this particular video is a 2-page worksheet. And what I'd like you to do is you can print it out, take a look, and I broke it into several different categories. Basically, all the behaviors that line up for a low threat, the behaviors that line up for a medium threat, and the behaviors that line up for a high threat. If you have this indicator of danger, and for most threat assessments, what you get is you don't get all this information dumped on your lap. You don't get multiple behaviors. You usually get one, or you usually get two at the most. And what you do is you have to decide from there. So grab that behavior, imagine it's a snapshot stuck in history, right there frozen. Grab it and decide where it falls. Does it fall into a low threat, medium threat, or a high threat? Try to find it and match it up. If it falls into a high threat, it tells you how fast you have to go and what your next step is, but it gives you that sense of urgency that you need to move faster because we've identified it so far as the initial assessment as a high threat, and it gets you moving faster. If by chance you have two indicators of danger, two pieces of the puzzle, two behaviors, and one falls in the low threat and one falls in the high threat, you always go with the worst case scenario. So you're going to go with the high threat behavior because that gives us a greater idea where the person is and how soon they may attack. Now, if you begin to use the form and you have questions, please reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you. I'd love to help you. And this is not something I charge money for. This is a free service, a free materials, and a free offer, if you will. If you find yourself doing a threat assessment and you need help, call me. I'd be happy to help. Now, the reason why I help is that this is all about saving a person's life. And everybody has to get on board. It has to be a collaborative effort. And please consider me as part of your team. So reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. If you like this video and you thought it was beneficial, please share it with your friends and coworkers. The more people who know about human threat assessments, the greater the chance that we're going to be able to prevent more school attacks. And I guarantee you, when we know this skill, we're going to end up saving more lives.